Hi guys, I'm here with Seven. He won the second match of Ascension today against Galores. Congratulations, of course. The first question I want to ask you is, how are you feeling right now?
It was a long game, so just to finally get it over with and come out on top, it feels amazing.
Yeah, I imagine, like, really tired.
Yeah, no,
the
I'm
first
exhausted.
game, you guys with like 300 overtimes.
By the third map, my eyes were like blinking super slow. I was getting
Yeah.
really tired, so I'm just glad. I'm glad.
I imagine. The second question that I want to ask you, can you give us like a new insight of how you guys worked these months for preparation for the Ascension? Did you guys focus more on your team, or did you guys like focus also on other teams?
Oh, I mean, it was a combination of both. I know my coach really put in a lot of work into the opponents and, you know, figuring out what they do and like the reads against them. And the rest of the players were just really focusing on, you know, playing their own game, you know, doing the best they can, playing ranked, grinding, scrimming. And just as a collective, like, it all came together.
Sure. And the last question, is your first international game? Is your first time, not your first time here in Mexico, but it's your first time playing against other regions. How are you feeling coming back to your country, to your home country, playing here in this stage against other regions?
I mean, it's like a dream come true. Really, the storyline is amazing, and the people around me here, all the people around me just support me a lot, and I'm just super blessed to be here.
That's right. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Now you have to go and celebrate and prepare for the next match. Guys, it's all for us right now. We're going back to the live stream. Thank you.
Bye.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
face. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to VCT Ascension Americas. We have had 2 amazing best of 3s on the day and 1 more for our very first day of our group stage. It's going to be All Knights going up against M80. We've had a lot of Valorant already here, Emily. I hope you're ready for a little bit more. This match should be a lot of fun. I mean, M80, they're going from this team last year that it could have been them. They could have been a different team here. They could have ascended already, going up against the number 2 seed coming from LATAM that honestly was having a great season, just great run before falling just a little bit short of calling themselves that number 1 seed in their region.
Yeah, M80 is a force to be reckoned with. It's a team we're very familiar with. They're very well established and organized. So I expect nothing less but superior gameplay from them. All of these players that we see on this screen have so much experience, and a lot of them have even been playing together for a long time. I'm a strong believer that sticking together gives you an advantage over time, because team chemistry is just something that, you know, takes time to build. So expecting really good things from these players that we see on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about that chemistry and what they've been able to build up to. M80 for the duration of the season has been a team that we've been kind of looking for that up and up, especially to looking at that core team and core people that Roy last year competed. Let's talk about Koala first. I know family is in the chat. So hello to the Koala fam. But Koala is someone that always just consistent out here that we can look to for putting up a good performance for the team.
Absolutely. There's a couple things I do want to mention about Koala Nu, besides the fact that he is undeniably one of the best openers in the league, if not the best duelist in the league, statistically and otherwise. But I would also like to highlight something that is not easily visible. And it's the fact that he is insane at ping pong, by the way. He won the Toronto ping pong championship with 8 of us, including the M80 players, Shopify Rebellion Mel, and EG Apoth. He actually won that tournament. Double elimination format, by the way, so it was not luck. But on top of that, he's also a very good Valorant player. So yeah, there's that.
Wow.
We got to add a new stat line for your best placing ping pong ranking there. And let's talk about some real stats.
Okay, well, that's really cool. Thank you for the fun fact of the day. Looking at the stats of Koala Noob, though, we got a battle sage on our hands, you guys. Koala Noob is so good on the stage, doing the cheeky little walls that we've seen on TikTok and that we love. Also has a 33% clutch percentage. First Bloods as a sage is almost 70%. That's huge, right? So this is a player that is versatile, is very confident, has crispy, clean aim that we've seen, and apparently is really good at ping pong.
It's just truly a master of all trades over here. But looking at the M80 squad, we definitely have people that are talented across the board. I don't know necessarily about ping pong, but we got to talk about Xander here as well, Roy, especially going ahead of the series.
Yep. I think the charm of Xander is the fact that not only is he a very high fragging controller, something that almost all of the top teams have in common, but it's also the fact that he's IGLing on top of that, maintaining really high first blood successes, keeping up with an insanely deep map strategy, as well as trying to balance almost every map in the pool all at the same time, which makes it an unbelievable asset to any team.
Yeah, being able to, I mean, sometimes you get to see the IGL kind of, you know, a little further behind in the stats because, of course, they're called for the team and they're still able to put such an impact out there with their calling, but being able to do both, I mean, what Xander brings to the squad is immeasurable, cannot be defined just by those stats. So, and I think having that versatility and that strength of calling should be really big ahead of this series and just the run ahead of them, because M80, I mean, they're definitely one that has a storied history looking at Ascension and what they can accomplish, and I think a lot of people's favorites going into this. But we got to talk about their opponents in our very first group stage and talk about All Night, because even if they are the number 2 seed coming out from Latin America, it was a close match in their finals, losing to Reddit Esports, who was putting on a fantastic performance, even if they did get swept earlier on in the day. Like, All Nights, what they've been able to accomplish with their matches, Emily, cannot be expressed. Like, they don't discount this team.
Definitely don't discount them. Yes, they're number 2 seed, but this is a team that worked really hard to get here. I feel like their competition of getting here had 2 BO5s that they had to participate in. They lost the last one, but all of the BO5s that they played in went all 5 maps. That takes a lot out of you, and that just shows that they have a very strong map pool with a lot of skilled players like Sabando that we have on the screen right now. Roy.
Yep, and the reason why we are highlighting this player is to draw parallels between these two teams, because they are very similar in many different ways, right? They have 2 duelists that are incredibly high impact. They have 2 controllers that are very high impact, and they sort of have a flex player as well. His name is Nico. That player is a lot like Nismo, where he plays and he fills almost every role that is needed for his team, and they maintain such high level of stats and high level of impact on so many different roles. I'm getting attacked by a cat.
All right, well, I'll let you fend off the cat attack as we keep on talking, because we have walkout sooner rather than later, and we still have a lot to be talking about here, especially you're talking about drawing parallels of these players. So we have to talk about the duelists over on All Knights, because Dante, I mean, we're looking at someone who's able to combat against this firepower coming out from M80. I'm really looking for Dante for this, someone who has really been able to put up a performance in those best of 5 games that they've had. And if we can go ahead and roll the head-to-head of Dante versus Koala Noob, Emily, we can break this down just a little bit more.
Okay, so when we're comparing Dante versus Koala Noob, they both have different agents that they prefer to use. Koala Noob, we've seen him play on a few, more recently Yoru, which is exciting, and Dante really likes the Neon. So this is gonna be an interesting fight because it's head-to-head versus different agents, but looking at the stats here, Koala Noob looks better statistically in the KD with 1.36 compared to 1.18. But looking at the first bloods, which is what I look at for duelists, it looks like Koala Noob is more successful by almost 10% when compared to Dante.
Yeah, and I do want to emphasize the fact that almost 70% first blood success rate is unheard of at this level of play. Like, having that high of a percentage just means you are simply much better than your opponents. Your openers, the way you were set up in the rounds, the way you think, the way you do your mechanics, all these lead to such a high percentage. I mean, openers are supposed to be close to 50-50, but if you're at 70%, that is just mind-blowing statistic for a duelist. Like, not only is he making space for his team, not only is he playing so many different roles, but he is so reliable at putting M80 in 5v4s, and that's such an important thing to talk about.
100%. And I heard our players out there are slow walkers, so we have time for our next head-to-head too. We had talked about Xander and we talked about Sabano, but let's look at the impact going up against each other, because Sabano, I mean, when you're talking about that blood rate and just Sabano and the impact, Roy, this is someone that definitely keeping an eye out in the server.
Absolutely. I mean, the controllers right now are such a cool role because, again, they can be star players. It's not just restricted to duelists anymore, right? And these are 2 perfect examples of that. And obviously, their KD ratios are incredibly good. They're not only are they good throughout, getting kills and not dying a lot, but they're also really good at closing out rounds as well. But again, look at the first blood success rates for these players. Really high. They're winning a lot more opening duels than they're losing on both, whether they're lurking, whether they're defending sites. Like, either way, they are getting their kills. And on top of that, Xander's also IGLing, which is just mind-blowing to me, because that's just like IGLing is like a role in its own self. So the fact that you're performing as good as All Knights is one of their star players, their controller player Sabando, you're also putting up very close numbers to him.
Yeah, I think you really touched a really good point of being the in-game leader, and being able to put up these sort of stats is certainly not easy. But when you're on N80, it kind of is, because you have really good teammates around you. I look at this team and think of them very highly. I know that if somebody is struggling or having a difficult game, they're going to have a teammate that will pull through for them. And yeah, I just think very highly of them. But they're going against All Knights, and this is a team that has a lot to study when they're going against such a world-renowned team like M80. So there's a lot of stuff out there to counter them, to anti-strat versus them too, and pick up on the tendencies, because again, we know the M80 players, we know their tendencies and what they'll typically do. But then again, they had some time to change their style and their gameplay. So who knows if we're going to see something different or see the same old that we're used to seeing.
And I think that is the one thing about M80 that makes them sort of an awkward opponent, is the fact that they're not very attached to their metas at all. Like, they're not attached to any of their compositions. We've seen them swap mid-season. We've seen them swap into playoffs. Like, we have seen them completely willing to just abandon compositions, adopt a completely new style of play, and still find a high level of success. So when you're prepping for M80, in the back of your mind, you're still thinking like, this is the type of team that is just willing to just snap a finger and pull out a brand new composition, and now all our prep work is useless and we have to play against a triple Senti comp on Lotus, for example. And it's like, how do you even manage to begin dealing with that in the moment when you've never really practiced against such a like a meta or composition?
Which is the terrifying thing. I was actually thinking back to the triple Senti as
Yeah,
well.
you remember that?
Yes, that was craziest stuff. Like, M80's never fails to kind of pull something out of left field here, but I just want to drop a little fun fact for y'all before we get into our maps. But on the day, it has been the number 2 seeds that have been upsetting the number 1 seeds in all of our match. So I don't know. All Night's coming in as the number 2 seed, but for reals, like, there's no one that you can really count out because everyone did earn their spot in Ascension.
For sure.
So M80, I definitely think they're the top dog coming into this. I don't think that there's anyone looking at this being like, hey, I'm gonna really bet against M80, but there has been a little bit of time since we've gotten to see the teams and what they prepare. So All Nights, I'm definitely excited to see what they will bring to the server today. But let's start talking about the map picks and bans. I think when we're talking about surprises and all of this, we know M80 very well. We definitely know that they are not necessarily the one for the surprises, at least when we look at their map pool, Roy.
Absolutely. The first map that's going to be coming up by All Nights is Sunset. Interesting. Okay. M80 also picks Icebox. Not completely surprising. They've been pretty good on that map overall. And Decider going to Lotus. This seems kind of tame, actually, in comparison to the other vetoes that we've seen. It sort of teams are sticking to their strengths. Of course, the Decider being Lotus, a map that a lot of teams do flex. So I don't think it's too crazy of a comp, or of a veto, excuse me. But again, the compositions are a massive question mark right now because there has been a significant downtime since playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm really going to look to, especially to talking about the Sunset kicking things off. I mean, when we're talking about Qualanoob, I feel like we've kind of set this up to kind of talk about all this crazy stuff that he can play. Because last time we saw him, Emily, was the Yoru, I believe it was, over on the Sunset, which is a lot of fun to see kind of that flex over. And M80, even if this isn't their map pick, it's definitely something I do not dislike them on whatsoever.
Yeah, I think Yoru is a great choice for Sunset. It's a very great agent to keep your teammates guessing and playing the mind game, and that's what's really fun to watch as well. It helps you be more creative, is what I'm trying to say, in terms of creating your strategies around the Yoru player, and you have to think outside of the box. So this is a map, though, that is picked by All Nights, but it's not a bad map for M80. They do have 60% win rate percentage on split 2 for Sunset. So it's gonna be either way for me because they picked it for a reason. They know that it's something that they're well prepped for. But again, they're going against M80, who it's not their worst map either from what we've seen them play.
Yeah, and on another note as well, like beyond just like straight up win rates, there is a bit of a stylistic difference because I mean, Yoru, despite my opinion that Yoru is a very great duelist character, he still isn't very meta on Sunset. Like we don't really see him that often, right? So there's always a bit of an X factor of what M80 is going to be cooking on that map, and of course it's going to be the Yoru versus the Neon, and whether we've swapped initiators, whether is M80 still on the Gecko and Breach, is All Night still on the Fade and the Breach as well to set up the Neon. Like there's so many different clashes of styles. So I think the first map will be at minimum pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we don't see Dante and All Night switch off of this Neon because they did have the Raze beforehand, but swapping over to the Neon, I think even just with our previous series, seeing the capabilities that Neon has on this map, especially in the hands of a capable duelist like Dante, I think will be fantastic.
Oh, it's going to be so fun.
It'll be absolutely fantastic. I'm intrigued once we get later into the series and I just look back at this Icebox and this Lotus and the amount of times I remember watching and being there watching M80 kind of go through these matchups, that if AK doesn't necessarily show up really strong to start things off, that this Lotus might be a little bit rough, especially to Emily with what we've seen coming out with M80, which is just shenanigans galore.
Yeah, M80 is sort of the trendsetters. Roy was talking about this earlier. They come up with their own meta that everybody else likes to copy, and that's why I'm excited to see today. They had time to come up with something new and be creative, so maybe we will see something like that. Icebox, though, for map 2 is a map that we never saw on Split 2 from All Knights, so we've been in our last BO3 series, we saw 2 maps that we didn't see from a few teams who absolutely blew our mind. So even though there's nothing really on Icebox at the moment for All Knights, at least from Split 2, I'm expecting them to be prepared. They left it out for a reason.
I mean, we're talking about the prep and everything. Anytime we haven't seen a team well-versed on a map today, they have been more than well prepared. Everyone bringing what they got here for Ascension, and now we have the walkouts hitting that stage. M80, the core of this roster, they were here last year and coming so close, falling just at the last moment to now G2. So this is a big arc of redemption for them. There's a couple of different little storylines looking at M80 here, Roy, for why this can mean so much. So getting off on the right foot up against All Knights is going to be huge for them.
Absolutely. I mean, this is their time. This is, if there is a better moment, it's right now. Like last time was the best moment. Today's the second best moment. Obviously, they have to kind of just shed the past, just focus on this tournament, one match at a time. There are really, I mean, we joke around, we say overdog, underdogs, but like at the end of the day, every competitor in this tournament is fierce. You cannot disrespect anyone. You have to take them extremely seriously. And M80 will have to play to their highest level to like guarantee their wins here. And All Knights, they still have a very, very good chance as well because they're very talented and they're quite experienced, despite us not recognizing a lot of their names prior to challengers. But it still is going to be a very good match and a very close match.
And let's look at the teams right now. This is the huddle that we love to see. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. Although TSM still won without doing a huddle, but that's fair. But here we are. This is a moment where everybody reminds each other, we got this, trust our game plan. Don't forget what we came here to do. And again, this is just such a great feeling. And even right here, when they're about to do their chant, you want to be loud. You want the opponents to be scared of you and know that you're the one that's there ready to fight. And I feel like we might get some banter versus these two teams, just the way that they did their little chants right there.
I'd be down for some banter. I don't know about y'all, but I could hear both of them doing their little chants from here. They're yelling from here. I think this is going to be a great match ahead of us. I know it's late, so I appreciate everyone for tuning in there with us, because we'll make sure it's some good Valorant to be ending off our day, the first day of the group stage here of Ascensions. And I know that over on the NA side of things that maybe we aren't necessarily the most familiar with All Knights, but again, what they've been able to do within their region and some of these wins that we have. For this loss to Reddit Esports, it's like a sea of green when you're looking at their stats and what they've been able to do. So I don't think they're going to make it easy for M80 whatsoever. And the upsets that we've seen today, number 1, number 2 seed, Roy, none of it means anything realistically.
Yeah, no, number 1 seed, number 2 seed is just like an ego thing. It's literally just like pride. It literally does not mean anything. Obviously, it's been a while since their last official, so there's been a lot of time to grow, develop, add maps into the pool, swap things around, make changes. So I mean, anything can really be happening right here.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like the format of this event that we're here happy to watch, because it's round robin. So like you guys are saying, seed doesn't really matter. Everybody plays everybody at the end of the day, and everyone had an opportunity and equal chance to change or fix up whatever's needed to take the win. Only 4 teams out of the 6 is going to be making it to the next part of this whole series to get their opportunity for what they've been fighting for all year long. So this is exciting, and it's an equal playing field. We're starting right here. Every team has the chance to take the win.
Especially, too, when it is groups and everyone gets to play up against everyone. A loss here isn't going to be the absolute end of the world, at least not for this moment. But to be able to start this on the right foot and make sure it's not coming down to stressful, crucial moments down the line, I think is just absolutely huge. As well as just that momentum. I mean, for these teams, they've traveled out to Mexico. They're playing out on land. They're playing in this live environment. It's going to say there's nerves. I'm not actually really seeing any right here.
Yeah, they look very chill.
Yeah, we're at least, okay, maybe nerves apply for other players. Right here, we're just pumped to get into this.
I'm telling you, it's a psychological hack. The more you think about the match ahead of you, the less, like, the worse you perform. You have to just be happy to be here. You have to just enjoy the moment and kind of just hang out with the gang, play the game. It's kind of just chill. But yeah, I do want to also talk about, you know, M80 being the severe overdog. I think it's kind of undeniable to say, right? Like, ever since they added net in split 2, they did take 2 losses, but after those 2 losses they took in their kind of their debut, they've been on a win spree. They have not dropped a single match since then, and in their last, like, what, 3 matches, they haven't even dropped a map. They've been absolutely dominating the North American region, and I think that has to add some layer of, like, expectations from, like, an org side and from, you know, from the community, that there's, like, everyone is sort of expecting M80 to be the overdog in this tournament. And I'm hoping to some degree that they're able to just kind of, like, look past that, just stay locked in, stay focused. And I think they have the experience to leverage this kind of pressure.
Yeah, it'll be, you gotta stay locked in. You can't get too ahead of yourself here. And Elliot, got you on for good reason, because we have our Blacklight agent select.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's get into this. Let's start figuring out where we're going for Sunset.
Okay.
And we are going to be running back the Yoru for M80. All right, M. And then for Dante, it will be that Neon again.
Yeah, M80 is using the same comp that we've seen them usually do on Sunset.
Yep.
And looking at All Night,
They've swapped their info initiator, so
Yeah.
they swapped the Fade for the Sova, and that makes complete sense because the Fade does not deal very well with the Cypher traps. So obviously swapping to the Sova allows them to just kind of have a different pace that they wouldn't have access to with the Fade.
Well, a change coming out from All Nights and M80 with the quirkiness. Let's see who can be getting that momentum here in map number 1 for Sunset. Our last casters blew their voices out after the 1.5 years of overtime, so we had to bring in our next fresh pair. We have Keg and Henrik to take you through Sunset.
Thanks so much, Sierra. And indeed, what a tough act to follow that second match was between Galoris and TSM. But tough act is a way to describe how both of these teams got here. M80 arguably the toughest layout in their playoff tournament, and All Nights, after ultimately being one of the main reasons that LATAM regionals include runner-ups last year, this year, they didn't even need the help. And after 2 5-game extravaganzas, they are here at Ascension for the first time. Keg, this will be an exciting attacking team, but up against a wild favorite like M80. Tough ask for the first day of play.
I mean, the observers did it perfectly, right? An absolute slam dunk in the beginning here. And what Roy said on the desk was perfect. A very, very big overdog team like M80. Not a single loss except for one in the initial debut of their new player of net. And these have been some very tough rosters in the past as well. Want to highlight Koala Noob on the Yoru before things get started, Nismo on the Breach as well. On the defense, keep an eye on their utility usage and how well they can synergize against each other. Many different rounds. Mid would be dominated by Koala Noob, disrespecting any smokes the attacking teams would bring. But Net may have some problems here in market.
Yeah, big overload onto market immediately, and All Nights are going to be able to get some solid clearance. Tinshoff already pretty low, though, and so he'll have to play the backup, but he's pretty used to that already, being the sentinel for the team. All Nights make their entry from market onto site itself, and M80 will ultimately take the back seat early on, knowing that they're 1 down. BCJ with the dizzy out, but Dante Deus has already risen up and has already made a statement for the game, opening up the pistol with 3 kills.
Oh, one opener for Dante. Unbelievable on pistol. These are oftentimes the beginning rounds, but we'll see from All Nights overheat right off the rip on the attacking side. Dante staying with his team the entirety of this round, bypassing the smoke. A triple headshot. Absolutely says a statement about All Nights early on. And remember what they said on the desk. Every single match today has been won in an upset against the lower seeded team. All Nights have already set such a good example early on for a team that M80, for all intents and purposes, have been so consistent about shutting down the aggressive presence of something like a Neon.
It's true. These are the playstyles that M80 is used to combating in a high-flying society like North America. It's half the reason that Nismo's been pushing the envelope with Deadlock for this bit and how it's been so effective. But conversely, All Nights also don't have much trouble with these compositions either. In the LATAM scene, this aggressive playstyle, even with stuff like the Yoru, isn't exactly not commonplace. So All Nights feeling very comfortable with this composition, as well as their own. The Sova change is simply a sign of the times. The only change that we saw between these two team compositions, they ultimately feel comfortable comfortable about their Sunset XX, and it's not tough to see why most of the composition for that map is required reading at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, contact plays are great on a small map like Sunset, but if you want to go in fast and you want to have maximum info to do so, the Sova is such a great option at doing that. Safety, name of the game for M80 this next round. A huge stun, potential paranoia presence for the double swing outside of B main. BCJ and Koala Noob are most certainly ready for the contact plays. They may have spotted Nico Machine, but the call's been made to back off. Now you may notice that A site's a little empty for M80. Retakes are pretty often on this map, but at times it can be scary too. The 4-1 split met with the lurking Tinchoff could be a spell at the beginning, at least to give away the plan. But that's a scary way to start things off with this Cypher licking his wounds to try to get out.
Yeah, this is incredibly brazen for Tinchoff, but that's why he specifically didn't go for that gun.
No
Laying
way.
into M80's stack, just trying to get the opener so that All Knights have all the space in the world to approach site. And he'll get a kill on top of it. M80 will once again play for the retake, play for the full util dump, but they don't have much to offer, and Koala Noob is not on an off angle. So not too much homework that All Knights should have to do for this post play.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, M80, they need to be careful here. If they want to contest, they may be giving orbs to All Knights early on. Dante could get so much closer to getting overdrive early on. The Hunter's Fury as well, a big issue. It's a flood in though. Sibando, Nico have a great crossfire, stunned away completely. Some damage has been done, Tenrak, but again, Dante, you're just feeding the beast. Already one off of having that overdrive. And let's say this rifle round does not go in All Knight's favor. It'll be their bonus buy. That means you have an economic save going into the next with a big laser beam that we've seen Dante dominate in his own region.
So true. It's not hard to say that Dante's probably the best Neon in Latin America. Super sorry, Verdi, but it's true. I know.
That's a deep cut, man.
Ruffled a
I don't
couple
know.
feathers there, huh? Yeah, sorry, gamers. I'ma say it.
That's such a tough conversation to have.
It is, but I've already had it with myself, and I think Dante wins it out.
All the different voices.
Sorry, yeah, I've gone
Which
through
one
the
won?
million different probabilities, the different possible futures.
Yeah, the caster time stone in your hands.
But I think it has to do more ultimately with Dante's ability to play close range, because the way that you see All Knights push, especially on their attacks, and their attacks are what that get them a lot of rounds. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know now. It's his ability to kind of shift between the 3-2 stacks that All Knights goes for. You'll see that they lean on a lot of double initiator compositions, even outside of Sunset, and that's because there's not a lot of not babysitting, but I would say the two initiators, Nico Machine and Adverso, who is the IGL for All Knights, have been very big chauffeurs for the remainder of All Knights, just trying to transport them to site and then util dump in the aftermath. Tinchoff, as we saw before, playing that ISO role. Everyone has these ideas very much like laid out for them, but Dante as that duelist, especially as that Neon high flying, high caliber, is able to get closer than a lot of other Neons can. Not just on top of a relay bolt, but on top of a trade, on top of a smoke, on top of a cage, on top of whatever the stack that Dante is currently running with has to offer. And that's why I think we've seen so much more universal success, besides Verdi just flat out carrying Cholos over through playoffs a lot of the games that we saw there.
It's interesting that you bring that up, right? So you're saying the difference is that Dante is set up much better for his team with utility usage, positioning, spacing, where Verdi just goes really fast and can overwhelm individual players.
That's what I said.
That's good. But I think you're completely right about that. I think mechanically speaking, like in a vacuum, you compare the two Neons. Well, first, one's not an Ascension, but
it would have been a second time, though. It would have been a second time, and he would have been the only Latin American here who would have. That would have been really cool.
And he was the one that dominated on Neon in Ascension last year. Yeah. But Dante has gone through a whole anime arc on this Neon himself, even since playoffs, where in the beginning, a lot of early timeouts had to be called by All Knights just to put Dante back on a leash. Make sure he doesn't overheat. He's got to play with his team. He's going too fast. But this Dante is looking great already. I'm so impressed with the communication that we're seeing between the players so early on. And that's usually the big strength for M80. They are the ones with the protocols in an endless loop. Recon bolts out. Stuck with seems like almost Boba. It does. Can that detect?
That's a great extension for Dante Deus, but the rest of the push isn't going over as well. Xander able to hold his own in market for a little bit too long, and so M80 are able to kind of chip away at the rest. Nismo with those final two playing on the back line of B-side, and M80 will escape with 3 on the bonus.
Oh, That was huge. Again, a lot of Neons love to take advantage of really pushing deep through mid, past near the defender spawn to try to cut off an angle with smokes and get into Boba line for the split push B. Worked out great early on. And again, that rifle round from M80 we said would be a huge marker to see whether or not this defense can hold on tight early on. Small tech pause though, as we get things sorted off. Hey, you know what? Maybe this means we'll have a map about as long as the TSM one.
I love this. I think we all, you know, as a group, we get to discuss what we saw every round, and there'll be a little pop quiz after. I think it's great.
Oh my!
Now I think we get to talk about M80 in excess a little bit, which we haven't really gotten to do so far this game. And I think a great place to start is Nismo, who has been the innovator of North America so far this split. Not only picking up the deadlock on like half of M80's map pool, which by the way, fiercely small going into this tournament. I don't know if that's changed. Hopefully it has. But also such a consistent attacker. Since last year's Ascension, he's been topping the leaderboards when it comes to ACS, rating, KD, all the right stats.
Yeah, all the perfect stats there early on. Do like the fact, though, that the whole structure for M80 really just kind of flows into itself. A lot of people were wondering when Nitro left the team, who would be taking over the in-game leading responsibilities. That fell back to Xander, speeding up M80, both attack and defense, so much more. But it goes deeper than that. You mentioned Nismo, Cold Collar, especially for the attacking side. But we're early on for this defense going to be seeing more so Koala and Net calling the shots. Mm-hmm. They have a great sense of the macro. And that enables, again, someone like Koala who, so far, again, we're just about 4 rounds in, haven't seen a whole lot of aggressive action and disrespect this early. Must be a lot of homework done between both teams. That must be the expectation. That we'll see that overheat from M80, and that's why they're playing it so safe.
Yeah, Koala's definitely waiting to spring that trap, 100%. Though, it should be said, they are not exactly staying away from mid until Koala decides to enact, which I think is really good conditioning from M80, just to constantly disperse AK, and also, more often than not, probably keep Tinshoff busy, because that guy is going to be leveled away. Just like this time, where he'll waltz into tiles with the 2 with the help of Sabando, while the rest of All Knights presses on to B main, going for a little bit of early util trading.
Oh, I like this default, though. Put that early pressure down. It's not quite a default when Tinshoff falls. Mid-side now completely open. No space gained on A just yet.
Xander's
Noob is so close to getting that A orb. He could get ult and re-clear everything that AK's taken over.
So true. Can you approach it in time? Don't believe so. Too much of a risk, especially now that the Dizzy's going to confirm that at least one is here. Fault line to slow down and get Koala to swing into at least one. And All Knights will win that first bout. Now 4v4 with 55 on the clock, but All Knights still not fully committed. Sabando, though, the remainder of that 2 that was posted up with Tinshoff is now fully escaped through mid and is holding off in market, waiting to see if he can press something from there. He cannot just yet, but he'll turn right back around, wait for the rotation that All Knights is trying to sell, and grab a kill on the Net, raising back advantage.
Huge pick to remove Net. Now camera not on site. B-side completely unknown to M80.
30 seconds
Full
left.
retake is possible. Dante, overdrive already set in stone, could take Boba control. A lot of teams
Spike
today.
planted.
Spike plant goes down. They extend upwards. All Knights choosing to do the opposite. Play safe for B-Man.
It'll be the latter. Guns a-blazing, util a-blazing on the B site is M80.
Down a body.
We begin the spike shuffle. Fun smoke for the one-way, actually. That throws All Knights off a bit, but Dante Deus is slip-sliding around, able to keep the trades on their side. BCJ only distracted for one half of that spike, and now against 3 members, M80 put all their eggs into a basket that could not be filled. All Knights up to 3 on the attack.
Yeah, even with the scary loss early on of losing your Cypher, All Knights were able to reset, work through mid, no re-clear from M80, work their way back across the B side, take it back over. Again, a critical pick, removing Net that early on. Any capabilities of slowing down All Knights to get on the B site was null and void. Any information about their locations post-plant, not available anymore. M80 now, this is their opportunity to change up the pace. Koala Noob, ultimate available, stinger in hand. We could very well see a very aggressive round start off of a stun from Nismo into an ult.
I love this double initiator that's running with Dante. A lot of times when they're stacking with the double initiator on attack, You'll see Adverso frontlining and util dumping for the initial pre-plant, and Nico Machine on the post-plant, just backing things up and unloading everything as that spike is going down. It's a really fun tempo that All Knights rarely shift unless there's a different place they have to exec.
Okay. Cyber Cages go down mid. Puts that doubt in the minds of M80 about the mid control and whether they go up. Not that they know about it, but Nets, Tripwires are completely set up for A site. That makes all of mid and the upper areas of their own spawn completely unknown, forcing to hold these angles.
They might press it on the drive swing. VCJ good for one, and on the bounce back, Koala Noob has to let a blind go, as well as the space of B. But M80 is still present on this site. They could fight anytime they want. It's a question of when the timing is right, and it's certainly not now with the Cypher ult in to twist the knife. M80 will play, if anything, for orbs.
30 seconds.
They can't play for much more than that, especially when you can just spray through smoke. Sabando and Dante each getting theirs. How about we pad some stats for this Neon this round, as he is locked fully in. Good couple hours of practice I imagine these teams have gotten in the meantime today. They are fired up and ready to go exactly how we wanted them to see.
I mean, all the Neons today we've seen have been absolutely destructive, which makes me surprised this early on that M80 haven't been putting up much more of a stall. I mean, when we think of stall M80, you're thinking back to the triple Senti on Lotus. TSM would bring Neon all the time, and there was never a chance to hit the site at all. This time, though, Dante getting away with the freest picks in the universe. And it leaves All Knights now with a considerable lead early on. Now, let me throw a quick story at you, Tenrek.
Okay.
Remember last year, M80 back on Ascension?
Sure do.
Didn't really have much opposition when it came to the event itself.
Sure didn't.
They didn't win Ascension. They lost to a small team. You may have heard of them, called G2. But they only lost to one non-American team, and that was their first match in the group stage. That was the Union. Not in this tournament. Now I'm going to throw another crazy stat at you.
Okay.
G2 is also not in this tournament.
You don't say!
Yeah, exactly. And so you're thinking, okay, well, this team that has been on an 8-series win streak, they picked up a new player. It was rocky at first back in June. They were flawless from there out.
Yeah.
The stumble has yet to be seen in America up until this point. This is one of the best matches we've seen against M80 this year. And again, we're still very early on, but attack pause called unusually early for M80. Something needs to change.
The response time just really hasn't been there. Although I think it should be said there hasn't been a whole lot of integral rounds that M80 can springboard off of, so I think this attack pause might be more of a mental reset. For All Knights, though, they're fired up, and they have been talking since the moment they landed at their first land to make it here. They are all chat, and it is so entertaining to watch. They are so bombastic, and they back it up every single time. This is the Latin American Valorant experience, and M80, as many times as they've scrimmed against collages that may be similar, this is the real deal. And it's been a while since M80's played at a LAN in the first place as well, hasn't it? Gotta shake off those nerves too.
Yeah, but like the slow playstyle from M80 isn't an unknown thing for the team.
Certainly
Mostly that's on the attack side. They take that time out and they're like, oh yeah, we're M80. We'll just play faster. And that's where they start to string together those monstrous rounds. And yeah, there's that change of pace I was looking for. Koala on the off. Gate crash right even misses the shot. That's unusual.
Yeah. But it's about time we see him break it out. One of the things that Koala has really been trying to be a mainstay in, and I will say, when you think of Yoru opping, you do think of Koala Noob, so probably done his job. Teach-off once again, ISO'd in mid, just facilitating every rotation that can happen. In the meantime here, it's a great tapestry that's woven, as long as you don't walk into that operator. Koala Noob will collect on attempt number 2, and now it comes down to Net in the backline as the rest of All Knights attempt to placate. Sabando does a good job of opening as well. As the TP in M80 is ready to play, but All Knights is 2, and they'll unload a little early. Dante, same position on the pistol exec. It'll work just as well with the rifles. All Knights are up to 5.
It was a strong beginning from M82, removing huge critical information early on. The immediate getaway, the rolling thunder, the fact that Dante yet again pushes into sight completely unknown to the rest of M80. it makes you wonder, what's the market hold looking like? How is he able to get so close to that entryway, hop up the boxes through the smoke, and land so many of the same shots over and over again? Really, the big guessing game needs to be M80. How do we shut down this Neon? I mean, they have net to do it, right?
Yeah.
But he's been so stacked up on A round after round, they're unwilling to give it up. But B has been faltering every round so far.
Xander finally posted back up in there, in market, after he left it the previous, I think, 2 rounds. Koala Noob, time probably the biggest enemy here for All Knights after an ult like that. As no space really made. Oh, great poke. Back from top mid to get rid of Tinshoff, and now All Knights definitely have to make it happen. It'll be more of a one and done push. Big weight on the mid pull though. Nico Machine a little lonely at the moment, but no chance M80 are gonna pull back. They're still playing really back, and All Knights know it. Rolling Thunder to intercept, and that's where Koala Noob will collect. 3 deep. How about a 4-piece? BCJ will beat him to the punch. Nico Machine still standing, good for 1, but the Swarm enacts, and M80 will keep 4 stable for their second round of the game.
Beautiful protocol set up for the back of Spawn, making sure that, okay, we get that opening pick, won't have flank control anymore from All Knight's side. The fact that they can catch Dante out in the middle of the Rolling Thunder and collapse upon these attackers now shows M80. They're well aware about the different strats that All Knight have pulled in the past. It's going to make the approach for splitting B site much more difficult for the attack from here on out. But to be honest with you too, dude, like 5 rounds already on the attack is a pretty good start for this team.
Certainly on our way. Again, it's been all about the second seeds today. Never count them out. Koala Noob. A taste of the fact that you still can't handle Dante Deus, who's still got a lot of gas in the tank, and he's going to make it happen. What a switch up. But he still loses the duel. Doesn't matter. Rest of All Knights get it done. Full sweep, and they don't even have to look at him half the time. Xander, the last one standing, and can at least get rid of his controller counterpart in Sabando, the long-term facilitator who was ultimately the most efficient player in LATAM South the previous split. But there's so much more All Night to take down on this retake, and it might not even be worth it for a Xander, whose team's eco is still looking a little dire, especially this late into the half.
It's not the best situation. We've seen M80 before. But the fact on entry, Sabando, highlight on the desk for, again, the consistency and impact that he's had all throughout the season. Using Dante as bait to run through the crosshairs of everybody as a distraction.
And he just clears everybody. It's amazing.
It just melts them down like gold. And yet here we are again, All Knights, giving M80 a run for their money. And to be truthfully honest with you, this struggle with the LATAM aggression that we're seeing here on the attack, I thought it would be TSM that would be the ones to struggle a whole lot more. But they went toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in a grueling overtime just an hour ago. And M80, this is very unusual, the fact that they've only gained 2 defending rounds.
Yeah, it speaks to, again, the depth of the execute game that some of these regions that don't necessarily have as much scrim practice time. I believe it was Sato, actually, from Galeries, who was talking about how Brazilian teams just don't get those options that a lot of North American teams necessarily do, even Central American. And yet, how far they come, how far they have yet to go in the remainder of this tournament. All Knight's trying to say the same thing with all the experience that they've racked up and the players that they've been able to poach. Dante Deus being one of them, out of the blue for this All Night squad, and has been radiant to make them the top 1 team in LATAM South rather than the number 2 spot they had to settle for last year.
Great opener early on. Change of pace, the aggression from M80 was supposed to work wonders, but only on site is it now finding some value. It's this mode to find one, but trades everywhere you look. And Christmas tree in the feed leaves Koala Noob with an op. The last one left. A 1v3 is certainly doable, but the improbability rises every second. Full utility. Headshot lined up, Sabando. Might as well have been an op in his hand. Holy.
Yeah, nice shot, dude. Jeez. Flex harder. All Knights really are flexing now. And it's not just Dante who is gonna keep on sliding like that until All Knights start losing. It has been a real big team effort. Gotta speak to Adverso's util on these swings. Really great timing with these pushes. And again, as the pack, even when they're segmented or fragmented, like we see with the 3-2 stacks that they've gone for, like at least half these rounds at this point, at least for the early round, they're still able to just coalesce so conveniently on site. Really incredible stuff.
It's that international experience from Adverso. Having played so many tournaments in the past on Lev. And yeah, here we are again. Another brutal buy coming out from M80. Xander's gonna maintain the Phantom. I mean, whenever you think about M80 and Phantoms, they always spray through those smokes, and that's where they gain the majority of their kills. Hasn't been the case so far. All Knights choose to push in once more. Look at those tripwires in the back, purposely to be anti-Dante. Catch him out like a fly, be like a spider, eat him up backside.
Cage trigger. You'll see the beginning of it as Dante is on. Past the cages, jumping over the wires, just trying to cause as much chaos as possible, and Net will shut it down. Is All Knights on site enough? Net says absolutely not. 3 down with the Sheriff, and that will probably do it. Rest of M80, a swath onto site. A decoy fools Adverso not, and in fact, he makes a clean getaway over to A site to at least farm some creds on the spike, if not, have himself a chance at a 1v4 to give All Knights an 8th.
Imagine. I mean, we've seen some wild stuff today.
That'll be the day.
This could be a possibility.
30 seconds left.
No B-side at all. Call's been made to rotate back over. Soon to find out, hey, Spike's down. 1v4, Adverso, no utility. Either needs to push up so aggressively and catch, somehow magically, all of M80 off guard at once for a spray down. Or take them down one by one, but that won't be a possibility. 1, 2, wait, 3, no! Nearly so! Adverso removed half of M80 in seconds.
Dude, did you feel the clip coming? You were.
I did.
The way that you spiked that into existence, I could feel the Reddit gold from here.
The wavelength. my fingers attached to the monitor like it's happening. I was in the mainframe for a second. Look, there it is again. And it was so close for a third too. Could have been play of the game right there. Play of the day, really.
Yeah. All for nothing.
Been devastating to M80.
Some guns at least drop, but M80's cycle is looking decent at this stage as well. Goodness me. So it comes down to, how M80 can replicate something like that. And obviously, no round is going to go the way that did. Net lit up that kill feed at the right moment. But it also was a moment of an uncertain All Knights in which Dante couldn't make nearly as much space because those trap wires were set up there. Because All Knights decided to full stack into the site where Cypher was. And rather than clear it, Dante, he runs over those obstacles. He's a hurdle jumper. And it works, as long as the rest of the team inserts, but they didn't farm enough space that previous round. Still looking at the horizons of B site, which is All Knights' favorite, perennially, of course, throughout this map. But they will not set their sights as heavily just yet. 70 seconds on the clock and M80, widespread, but once again, leaning heavily on the B side.
Like that smoke early on, shuts down All Knights for a fast aggression towards B. Opens up the possibility. No, Orb has been captured, maybe not so much for BCJ to get thrashed this early. Held down by Nico. Re-clear coming out from Koala Noob. This will be huge, plenty of information gained. That's Dante. The fastness, the speed of which this round could be should be altered even more. 45 seconds left on the clock now. Default call, All Knights.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, you see Dante, he's completely shifting his playstyle now. Nose can't play with the stack, so we'll just try to sell and kill. And Koala's still around. M80, the lean, will still be their downfall, and All Knights are pushing with advantage on the B site. Not much time, not enough to clear out Xander, who's got 2 down on the lineup. The dart will force him to double back, but AFK are so uncertain. Dante is here with an ultimate, and it's got to be the saving grace for All Knights. It might be, though. Nismo caught out, but he's able to lock it down. And M80 will escape with their 4th round of the half.
Dante has truly been the 9th layer of this matchup for M80. Unstoppable, even when the round's not going their favor. What a great recognition in the mid-round from M80 not to over-rotate into B. More often than not, you will see teams see the speed of that Neon, the walls coming down, your star duelist getting removed off of elbow, and then that rotate. But it was all a big fake. One of the many strats in the attacking pockets of All Knights. And while they're a team that, well, for the most part in their own region, don't work the map terribly often. They love to speed into a site and cruise in. You can see why they've done it in the past. They like the fake sites too, to switch things up. But this time it should surely be no fake. This is pure pressure.
See, there's that backup from Nico. On the 3. Adverso on the 2. Tinshoff already going to get inserted, and the Rolling Thunder to Link to open things up on one channel. That's so the heavier stack can initiate and engage. all the way on the backside as well. So much action early on that M80 aren't ready for, and Sabando gets some kills in for good measure. Just BCJ, who was able to cut into Link at least, and that makes this fight realistic.
Here.
Look, I can only do so much.
Good clears, doing what you can. Good starter onto Tinshoff, and the spray. For a moment, a glimmer was there, but All Knights will lock it down and end the half with 8.
Really so many glimmers, but the shining force has been Dante. Just unbelievable. Like, my peanut brain barely struggling to keep up with the sheer speed in the slides. And again, that's been the dominant factor for this tournament so far. So many neons, so many accompanying breaches. The sheer overhaul that you can bring out. Oh, man.
And thus the onus is on M80. No? How does All Knights replicate from the other side? And you just say, 5-stack post-plant exec, and you're probably right. Can't lie. So M80, all eyes are on Koala Noob, in my opinion. Certainly can't op every round. He's probably going to try to once or twice up top mid, but apart from that, it's going to be on him to make that push happen and get that opening space so that the rest of this initiator util, Nismo, can fly right in and take over the same way that Dante and All Knights did.
Yeah, but I'm worried, though. I mean, you think of a map like Sunset, you can work the map so much, and there's so many interesting things on the attacking side you could do, like working mid, and All Knights were a perfect example of how you can split up B site to do so. A lot of opportunities to over-engineer your spacing, get caught out, miscomm, dwaddle between sites. But that requires space to be made. And although M80 have found so much success on attacking sides, again highlighting the triple Senti Lotus comp that we've seen in their past before, having a lack of space here on this attack, again, especially against a force like Dante, who's just so in your face to shut it down, means that M80's executes have almost always need to be together. And that requires them winning critical gunfights that they couldn't on the defense.
This, I think, also is a good segue into talking about how M80 actually comes. You brought up earlier a little bit how Xander, while he IGLs, the communication of M80, the role setting is practically non-existent. Everybody's just kind of exclaiming their intention, and all of these players, all of these guys on M80 are so damn experienced that they just play off of each other's intuition a lot of the time.
Get these losers.
Couple big ideas, mans, and Xander, of course, helming that. That's going to be his job on this attack, is segmenting these smokes, not necessarily on default, so that Dante Deus is cut short more often than not. Koala Noob also needs to get a kill there, and he can't.
Cage triggered.
Oh. Tripwire down, Tinshoff in a great position. Use the one way of the cyber cage. Stall. Mid side completely open, though. We've seen AK in the past take that breach stun. Neon Dante rush down mid for those opening picks. It's shaping up to happen again. A reverse crunch.
Meeting at the middle, and of course it's Dante who lights up the kill feed more than anybody. And he'll join the rest of the team at Verso, and Tinshoff right at the gate. Straight into Net's mouth. 3 kills on the Ghost, at least one of which was concussed, I do believe. And M80, stunning final fight to give them a very sudden pistol round.
Huge, absolutely huge round for M80 to bring themselves back and get that early eco lead. Now, Koala Noob, surely to invest into the Outlaw, may try to hunt down Dante early on. Remember back on the desk, Koala Noob is an anomaly in Valorant for having so many high opening pick rates in his matches. What was it, around 70%? And
yeah,
Roy said,
like that.
you want to go for like 50-50 at best, right? No, this guy, we'll put an extra 20 on top.
I think nobody else is really in Koala's solar system. Like, just looking at the number doesn't exactly speak to it. M80, another push.
It's a vandal.
This time the gun diff, a little bit worse. But yeah, Koala Noob, you see the 70% and you're like, that's pretty dang good. I wonder who else is near him. The answer is really nobody. His ratio of 2.2 first kills for every first death is second to none by a wide margin. I think the closest in his wheelhouse is Mata on Moistek Shopify, who was like 1.5. With the volume of first kills and first deaths that those players had, I mean, they're on islands of their own.
Yeah. Surely now this is M80 closer to tying things up with All Night. Cameras down on B to watch over Marketplace and hear audio for the site itself. Koala Noob, going back to that conversation, right? Has a high opening pick rate because he has a lot of util to back him up. Similar to a certain Neon we talked about earlier. Very, very, very similar in terms of really leading the charge in terms of those kills for their team. And at this point, All Knights should sacrifice themselves to the almighty Spike. This eco, so important to leverage and keep on going. I'm really worried about this rifle round and how All Night want to play it out. I mean, we've seen shenanigans in the past, right? What about a Neon with a Bucky? It's not a rifle, sure, but in your face, a Vandal this early too? We could see so many different things.
Hold close.
Yeah, let's get silly. I'm ready for some silly stuff.
Remaining.
Yeah,
After,
Frenzy Neon.
Yeah, after 17-17,
Ares Neon.
let's be goofy. But yeah, we'll head off to the Spike for Nico to go down. And indeed, two sides of the same coin. These teams, and like you said, duelists are All Knights with a pretty similar attacking style in general to a lot of North American teams we've seen. A lot of composition similarities, and Dante Deus is definitely taking a page out of some of our star duelists. I think I can safely say that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the way in which they push, again, it's about minimizing collateral, which they do. Their util usage is so bloody good. I mean, their rotations of post plant. I mean, it's astounding, really.
So that early rush down from A site, not finding a whole lot. M80 very quiet on their front. Early Cyber Cage comes down. Sides were reversed. We saw Nismo bring out that same smoke, albeit a different agent. Now, Koala's so close to having that dimensional drift. That'll clear out the entirety of B and force everyone off site.
Yeah, this should be a one and done here. They'll actually enter with Koala, just get this early because they know All Knights are going to rotate to it, and Dante is going to be very quick to the punch. But Koala makes himself known at that back site, then no one else is going to push. All Knights don't, and so Dante is walled away until the plant happens. So now you got to finish up. Koala Noob early pickoff. BCJ takes the shuffle, and so M80 can trade very positively in the opening half of the fight. Closing half, quite trivialized, as Net will win his crouch battle, and it'll just be down to Sebando, who is caught by Net as well. This kid's catching a couple pop flies in this second half to boost his KD a little bit.
I mean, Net has always been just a clutch warrior for M80.
Yeah, this Net guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right. You know, he's been on a few good teams in the past. I guess you could say he's a very good ascending player. But
yeah,
no, I mean,
dude, the funniest thing, the opportunity to do the funniest thing Net has.
I mean, it would be cool to see a two-timer, right? But Net absolutely deserving a spot at the top accolades of Valorant has been such a great addition to the team. And we talked about this so early on, too, that ever since Net did join the team, and although he's not necessarily that mainstay IGL that he replaced, similar role just enabled M80 to play so much faster. And many of these rounds, you will see, comparatively speaking, are as fast as these Latin American teams with just how overwhelming their executes can be. Tactical pause from All Knights. They're the ones now trying to think, okay, how do we get past Koala? The barrage of utility, the smokes that are out. Big advantage that M80 has always had in their arsenal. And this is the time now for All Night. They have to find a way to get past these barriers.
Yeah, this can't just be about Dante being in the right place at the right time. It can't just be about relying on a swift rotation, which is, it's clear that's what this comp wants to veer towards. But M80, they're willing to run that foot race, and they will win it if they exec fast enough. Something tells me they're not going to continue to go for this bombastic a playstyle for the entire game. But M80 can take this and run with it, beat this B-site dead horse until All Knights do have an answer. And the answer was Dante, initially for fighting, but now it's a little more muddled. Where does Sebando fit into the fray? He's been a bit of a leech for some of these stand-ins.
A leech?
Some of these corners. I know. Jacques. But I say that because normally Tinchoff is that one-off when All Knights has to stack 4. And I think Tinchoff plays it really, really beautifully. In fact, I think he's a method actor when it comes to that role. You know, he had the least assists in LATAM, but he was also its best clutcher. How weird of a statistic does that turn out? How many Sentinels can say that? in the world, period. The way in which Tinchoff literally goes from 0 to 100, whether or not it's playing completely preventative on a site that a team doesn't want to touch, which M80 did do that a couple times, or playing as that isolator, willing to be all by himself for the entirety of a fight, willing to 1v5 just to play for slowdown, and yet still being able to find value a majority of the time. Not a lot of Sentinels can say that either.
I suppose so, but going back to Sabando, right, his anchor ability and the fact that he has so much trust to solo hold a site, it can't be understated.
It's true.
Like, sure, he hasn't been necessarily involved in the big fights so far, but that's an All Knight's issue above all else, not necessarily Sabando. It's having that pre-round recognition. This is a team back in their finals that would win the majority of their rounds by having that accurate guess about where the attack would start and shutting it down before the execute could begin. Now, M80 are switching it up. They're playing with the map. They're recognizing the early utility that could come out and how they can play around it. That's forcing All Knight to make their secondary move. They're the ones that need to respond. And I don't think they're a reactionary team like they want to be. Both these teams love to set the pace. They force the enemy team to play their game, and that's how they win.
It's true. M80 has definitely shifted this game in the past couple rounds to fit their play style a little more. No longer do we see that high velocity All Knights that was able to kind of just battering ram themselves into a site. Now it's about stacking properly. Now it's about making sure that the extender doesn't grab one before you're able to fight post plant. Now it's about timing those stoppers so that with the right util, you're able to cut one short, and M80's attacks cannot be this fast. They will be forced to not rinse and repeat this B-side exec like All Knights felt so comfortable doing before. And Dante. I want to see more clips. Please more kills.
Hey, look,
I'm on my knees here, please. More kills.
We're only in map 1. We have a lot of Dante to go.
20 bombs not enough for me.
Yeah, 40 minimum. 50.
And pictures of Spider-Man.
60. Oh, I should have done the laugh, but this is nerve-wracking though. Smoke goes down early. Spycam spotting out Koala. No rotations called above that. Sabando's no longer on an island. It's Tinchoff to do that instead. A singular tripwire, the other dedicated top of mid. Now remember, Koala and Xander have utility that would let them get past those trips. Not saying it's going to come out this round, but it's always a lurk option that needs to be in the back of AK's minds. Nico Machine has that floating capability to watch out for it. Tinchoff has only a Sheriff and a potential 1v5.
Oh yeah! Monster! This is why Nico feels like a chaperone. But Tinchoff feels like the GOAT.
30 seconds left.
Definitely getting the brunt of the punishment from M80 early on. First run of the Thrash. And of course, the guarantee that it's gonna be a site. All Night swiftly on the run back. Xander receives the message loud and clear. A little too loud and a little too clear. TP also has to come through. Dante begins the fight and wins it to start out. That's enough to bring out the overdrive on 5 HP. The rest of All Night will enact. And Dante's gonna keep it going. Another push with 5 health points. He still finds damage. He still finds a kill onto net. Koala Noob in the 1v2 and All Knights. There's too much pressure at Verso and Sabando, the 2 longest standing members, will make it work. And it is a thrilling retake from All Knights, exactly what they wanted to lean back into. It took a lot. It took Dante lighten up, but that's what you ask for when you ask for All Knights.
Beautiful Blacklight Thrifty coming out. Unbelievable there. The overdrive being the ace in the hole, desperately needed by AK to keep themselves going after that timeout. But you can't rely on that ultimate every time either. Same could be said for Koala's Dimensional Drift. Very, very powerful tools in both these teams' pockets. It's just a matter now of seeing again M80. They can play the map well. We've seen them do it so many times at this point. These early defaults have been good. But it makes me wonder again, like, the speed, the rotatability, identifying where Dante could be. There's a mental checklist for both these teams on core components they need to identify. We're back into it again. Early Owl drone inside of B main. We'll spot the Yoru puddle. But otherwise, not a lot of info gained.
No. This is ultimately a great idea for a sell maybe for M80.
Is this a bait?
Oh yeah, it is. They're gonna try swing this. Oh my god.
I can't believe the Yoru puddle works.
That's awesome. Good for a 1-for-1 though. Nico Machine does not die alone. TP from Koala Noob into market, and he's doing too much of a do-si-do here with Tinshop. This is what he excels at, but Koala, still in the meantime, circles back, finds the kill onto the back line, and VCJ has the rest covered. Now it's Dante time. We have to fight this final boss, and a final boss he is. 3 deep left. And spots Xander. Once again, 5 health points left. And this fast lane doesn't cover Spike. He can't just sweep in easy street. He's gonna sell the rotation instead. Xander, uncertain of where he's at, comes down to the one shot. Dante the double back, and he finds the shot! A Zippo clutch for the Neon, the absolute star of all nights and Latin America.
This kid is a monster. A monster that we're creating, M80. Unbelievable, and this is only map 1. Shutting down M80 one at a time. What would normally be just normal trades. Watching the crossfire corners. No, not happening. It's just Dante. I need to see the scoreboard again. How many kills has he gotten?
It doesn't matter, I'm hungry for more.
28!
That 50 bomb ain't too far off, Max.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, if we go to 1,000 overtimes again, we could very well see that. But this one is prepped up and ready for the swing from Dante. Shut down unusually early. A big, big sigh of relief for M80. They can operate the round again.
Yeah, we no longer have to play in 2 phases.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the raid pulse is gone for a little bit, but look at this push-up from All Night. They have taken this space back, and that should surely find at least one.
So deep in, Sabondo swarmed, swathed, and Tinshop on the run. Dizzy will not catch, but what can Tinshop do other than say, they're coming over here? Oh, okay. Swing out and kill the people who aren't looking his direction. That's too deep, and the fault line misses. It's a retreat, and Nismo's ISO'd, but he can at least deal with that Verso, who is also segmented. The Hunter's Fury to try and finish off this low health pool of both of these remaining M80 players, but it's just not cutting it. You've got to get to the nitty-gritty. You've got to fight it out, and Tinshop can't. Stocked up in the corner, finally stuffed away. And Nico Machine, late to the party, still has some util in the tank, and it is dangerous util. One that can shred the rest of his health pool, but so can the Vandal! And another Zippo clutch for All Nights, getting them to 11 this map.
What is happening? Unbelievable M80. At this point, you'd have to consider a timeout just to, breathe for a second. What is normally, a textbook double cross. Yeah, you're stacked up. It's not the best position to be in, but low HP, losing what should very well be easy fights for this team is just not happening. Sierra did say that the lower seed team has won every series today. Yeah, I'd go for a pause too.
And again, it isn't it isn't necessarily just the one. I would spam Dante. God, can you believe we haven't even made a book joke yet?
Oh, I already have.
He's
the 9th player.
Really? Oh, dude. Oh, okay. You made the one that goes over the dumb people's heads. Okay.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, none of our viewers are dumb.
I am saying I am.
Oh, I've
None
never
of
read
our
it.
viewers are. But there are so many more extraneous factors, and Nico Machine again is a symbol of the ability that All Night has to have. All Night constantly has in these rounds, which is just their pocket player. And most of the time, it is Tinshop. Sometimes it's Sebando. Sometimes it's an initiator. Adverso has played once or twice now. I don't believe he's been able to clutch it up. But these not even anchors, again, these pockets, these players who have just lurked the lower corners, who have just pressed mid so gently. Killing the map with kindness is All Nights. And these infections from the Sentinels, the Controllers, the Initiators, any old player. Greater uncertainty than M80 already had against such a high kilter team.
Shadow.
All stacked up mid. The smoke's continuously going down. A good guess that Tripwire's up top, but not 100% known, broken away. Already watched out by All Nights. Good crossfire, potentially held A site in their control. Very little information found. Nismo could lurk up mid in the late round. With the help of his utility, still stun available.
All right, let's get started. No, you're done casting. It's time to fight now. Dante Deus opening frag. All Knights get it done. And M80 questioned, but they can't for long. They have to make the call, and the call is let's push this. It's going to be a 3v2 for a very limited time. And they will make the cut work. All Knights a little bit late here on the wide swing, though. They'll still make the fight happen now. Mid-plant. TP back. Means that they have to watch for Koala, but that also means that Net's a little ISO'd on site at the moment. You got to circle back to elbow to make this fight work. Tinshop getting up close and personal in the off time, and it might be enough. 1 for 1. And your Cypher's on site. Fake TP. Tinshop doesn't fall for it, but Koala comes through. And M80 lessen the gap to 3 rounds.
Onslaught of so many gunfights. Everyone's still remaining very stoic. Good A-side pull, especially the fact that it was a triple stack outside of AK. With Dante on board with a... I'm sure we'll see a replay of it in a wild opening pick. The neon slide and its accuracy is unbelievable at times, and it works out so well for all these young gunners. But the fact to be seen, though, is that, again, Dante, directly 1v1 contested, brought down a whole stack of M80 once again, stacking up, fighting exactly as how many other AK opponents have done. So it's Dante again. The speed, unmatched, a double kill to shut him down.
A little bit excitable, I think
Right
that
there.
one was. I'm
I
gonna be
know
real.
exactly where.
But on the eco round, it's something that Dante's okay with to insert Sabando, who is able to trade for 2. And again, now M80, they will be forced away. They will be siphoned out to sight. They'll get a plant, they'll get space, but All Knights have a very unpredictable position. How many people are coming from where Sabando was? And how many people are coming from the extraneous spots? Xander has to watch Boba. Got Koala re-extending as well. Nobody is watching this flank just yet. Obviously, the wire being there, but they don't know the sheer volume of this counter push.
Portal.
Slow and steady does win that race. Weaponry, Nico, just a stinger.
Diffuse the slide.
Seems like they're playing just to die here. There's not much time to exit. If you do this, it's got to be now. Yeah, you can just swing out and take this pretty easy. Unfortunately, a little too little time in the bank that time around for All Knights to really waste another second, unfortunately, and so they'll be caught in that little pocket of time. M80 will win out that gun round. And yet they still keep it exciting, right? They still find a way to do something different, and Sabando being all the way up there, being the man behind the slaughter, I love that.
It brings up a good... Well, you brought up a good point at the early round, though, is that we're seeing Dante just rush in
He's just
so
running it down.
early. Yeah, and that was a common issue that All Knights faced all throughout playoffs, is that they would have Dante overheat tunnel vision so early on fish that opening pick, and he does it again. No success this time. Those timeouts we mentioned before all throughout playoffs were to put him back on that leash, have him settle down, and play with the team again. Now All Knights are starting off, well, I was going to say a 4v5, but I blinked my eyes, and now there's 2 left alive. It's those anchors.
Yeah,
Often left on those islands.
Definitely overheating is Dante, and by proxy, that means All Knights too. They're gonna save, which means Koala Noob, a hunting we will go.
And this is scary too. Koala had dedicated Yoru ult this round. It would be a huge advantage if he's able to get both and start to string yet another one back together.
Put that weapon here.
Not a possibility.
Taking care of business here to make it a 10-11 game. Sabando would really adore holding on to this gun.
Shadows traveling.
All Knights in a stiff position where might just have to play for the 11-11. Not much to their name going into round number 22. And it comes at the hands of a lot of space slipping through their fingers. Very, very excitable Dante
Put that weapon here.
finds 0 value in a very, very crucial round.
Curious to see now. Yep, pause. Brought out. Almost always now we see the reset off of Dante. Any Neon, really, but especially Dante has been a big offender throughout playoffs. Make sure that he can play with the team, at least at the very minimum have that tradability. But at this point, 10 and 11, a timeout like this to reorient the entirety of All Knights, that might be all it takes to win map 1. They are 2 rounds away. And M80, we want to go back in time a year ago. The only time they lost the series, really up until the very end, Grand Finals of Ascension 23. was off of this opening group stage game against the Union. I mean, plenty of times in America before this so far in Challengers, we have seen the same teams fall in the same exact spots, just like Oxygen did in their own playoffs. Eliminated the same exact spots. M80 could fall the same.
Of all of the teams that we expected to not be able to run out of steam, it was M80 by this point. Because we thought they had already did it. With changing things out for net, we thought the beginning of that previous split was the moment
well,
that
here's
we
the
had gotten
thing, right?
drained.
This is not like the Neon's a big surprise to M80 with this comp. They shut down Sim on TSM, right? Back in America, would shut him down round after round. But here's the thing. A lot of the Neons back in America are much slower. They play much more together with their team. It allows that wiggle room, the disrespective utility that M80 can find. Speaking on defense, on the attacking side, M80, they have been finding their groove. Koala, though.
Wow.
Very important shots missed over and over so far this map. That's another one to add to the docket.
And that gives away the operator as well. A lot of the intention from M80 has already been read, and they've barely escaped the T yet. But All Knights, they'll still play back. They'll still play respectful. Tinshoff alone on this A site with this Stinger in hand. All Knights not necessarily jumping the gun here, but this is a calculated risk to take on this defensive round.
Look at that camera, though. Early flash came out. Audio heard. Tinshoff calming it already. No movement whatsoever from All Night. Dante's watching mid. Crossfire set up for B main. This could be M80, at least attempting to sell the fake, but they're dedicating towards this. Xander does have ult. Keep that in mind. Could very well send that spike back over to B site the very last second if need be. But with an operator in hand, it seems unlikely. M80 have to execute this fast, and Tinshoff has already given up A site. They're waiting for that Rolling Thunder from Nismo.
They're gonna have to wait a little longer. Xander will remain as the rat of tiles, and for it, he will get one kill with this operator that he's now got to try and escape with. He will. Back to the trapwire we go. Dante Deus, the attempted chase down. He does not make it. And now it's a two-man trade. Owlstroke's going to give them away. Net forcing attention, but the rest of M80 is here and watching, waiting for Dante. Ooh, find one! Xanter, the TP just in time to escape, but it's one down for M80. They've got to hold it down, and Net is the one to lock it in. All too often, it's come down to his kills on the day, and M80, it will work out for the better. A little bit of panic, but it is a tie game now, and All Knights again. What can they bring to the table now?
Just really good A, B, C checklisting coming out from M80, making sure the fact that they can hold down for the flank, identified big opponents on the board like Tinshoff, Sabando, and Dante. Make sure that they have been accounted for, and positioning is good. The flank was called, and although it didn't work out too well, at least they forced out the utility, and as you mentioned, Xander, ultimate, bypassing out of the way, not taking that one. M80 are playing these post plants so safe now to make sure they can get away from this Neon. They've identified him yet again. So what's the call here? Again, M80 are taking their sweet time with this early round. It makes All Knights very antsy. Early Owl Drone will mean that can't be used later into the round. Recombo, the best native sense of hard information given outside of Tinshoff's utility. But Tinshoff does have that neural theft. All it takes is one really good kill against M80 to unlock this whole round.
Got cage
Stacked up on B, Rolling Thunder available, a neural theft of their own. This is gonna be a hard beat.
Koala Noob entries just in time. Sabando, crucial start, and will now TP up for the follow-up. Also can't really find much promise. Too many bodies in the way. But All Knights is here to play. Like you said, that neural theft available. And Rolling Thunder now for Everso. Countered by Nismos and Dante Deus. Tough stuff, huge for M80. Trying to escape that radius, but can't do it in time. Makes it a whole lot easier for All Knights, or for M80 rather. Mosh first, and the cavalcade of util and gunfire should be too much, but the sprays from All Knights are doing a bit of a job. Adverso, the only one remaining, will try to fake for half, but M80 have too many resources and players to work with, and they will surf on to game point.
Close call once again. M80 slowing down their own pace, and execing as a group has worked wonders. splitting up, hasn't gained much. No amount of space has really warranted the 1 or maybe 1v2s that they've been facing and losing out. As many bodies as possible. Our gigantic ball of M80 has worked out well. 12-11. A reversal now made on map 1. We still have a long ways to go, Tenrak. This is looking good. The All Knights, this could be their last chance. It certainly is in regulation. Change it up again and, oh, Dante.
Well, we're in, I guess. Iverso with the cleanup. And so from here, wow, yeah, Dante got out. That's very impressive.
Crosshair placement's been impeccable with these wider than anything I've ever seen before wide swings.
Kind of mandatory wide swings, I guess, with the slide. But yeah, Dante leads into it heavy. Feels good, for sure. Precipice of a 30 bomb for him. But he's not at the fight, at least not yet. M80's still a little bit indecisive,
Xander.
playing for orbs. Xander alone. Dante caught. Nico not there for the fight and now has to manage this second angle. Can catch Xander on the chase down.
Oh no.
Perfect timing to keep All Knights an advantage. And Net caught out with the recon dart as well. All Knights could read this re-leaning the B side, but they don't even need to that hard because Tin Shop's util has been here the whole damn time.
There's no smokes. There's no smokes
There's
for the
no
execute.
way in. They've got to just make
Xander
it
30
well.
seconds left.
There's no trap wire on the immediate entry, so Wingman will at least get onto site for free. All Knights will hear this. They'll clock it, and they'll get ready to fight it. And Verso with the setup. The backline of AK with the knockdown. Net's target number 1 easily dealt with. And a thrash from BCJ to at least cut this fight in half, but still so much to do. BCJ wants to manage it all, and has a bit of a gap in his smoke to at least grab one with it.
1v2.
Very much doable, but Sabando catches him on the run back. And we will go to overtime in this first game between M80 and All Knights.
We saw what happened the last time we had overtime today. It went very, very long. But honestly speaking, again, the level of competition we have seen today has been instrumentally amazing. Every single team has done their homework. The counter-stratting, the amount of prep put in has been unbelievable. And I believe one of the members of the desk said it themselves that with all the counter-stratting and new strats being brought out here, surprising teams, it's been surprising us too. We have been seeing so many new things and new variables come out from every team today that it's always hard to predict what's going to happen next. And this is making it one of the most competitive Ascensions I think we've ever had.
For sure. This is what a great opening day to the tournament, man. If there was any way to show that this is anybody's tournament, it is this. Your favorites against your underdogs, a story you've heard so many times today. Who will win on Sunset? All Knights initiating on attack again. The 3-2 once again back in tow. Tinchoff and Sabando, best of friends in the dog park. While the rest of them teeter over B main entry, waiting for something to fizzle out.
Great pressure early on for B. Notice no rotation set off just yet. Koala sets up the gate crash deep into defender spawn just to ensure a quick rotation back to B, or even just to catch out the cross mid. There's only one person watching it, and Xander blocked out by a perma cyber cage. That enables so many possibilities. But if Koala TP's out now, and he can't, it got broken, he would leave BCJ all alone. This could be the potential one and done with this op, if he's not quick enough to the draw after the first shot.
Down if you hit her shot or not, and he doesn't! Tinchoff is quick on the draw, and All Knights is quick on the push. Dante, no run, BCJ enacts with punishment. Dante Deus will never not sprint again, and BCJ will never not hold this spot again! 3 kills to give M80 some solace here on the A site. Xander on the back line has an easy one for if Sabanda decides to enact early on, but it's Tinchoff to go in by himself. First, the Omen IGL can hold it down, and M80 have ground their way to game point here on Sunset.
Great fact not to overextend and take this early round bait out of B main. Instead, BCJ taking his ones over and over. A very rare circumstance for All Night in this map, losing these individual anti-trades. And now M80's 1 round away from securing map 1. Unbelievable fact now. We could go to Icebox next. When you think of that map, and you're a big fan of any section of America, you always think of M80. Sunset, it's growing on him. The pause has already been made. And so, the most difficult part may have already been selected. If they can just win this first map, Icebox could be an easy ride.
Yeah, this was the hump that M80 had to get over. It was gonna be this or Haven. You and I in the green room, we were mulling over what the map choices were gonna be. We knew it was gonna be the hard ban onto Bind. We knew they didn't want to go to Abyss, but I was frankly really surprised that AK made it their hard. I guess they're that scared that M80 wanted to take him there on the off on like an off choice. But the Icebox choice over Lotus first for M80, first of all, is a little alien, but not completely unexpected because AK's Lotus is also banger. If we get to that, I'd love to watch it. But I truthfully expected All Knights to go for Haven instead of Sunset here because their Haven's been looking miraculous lately.
Well, I mean, this is what we said in the green room too, right? If we see a 3-site map early on, like Lotus or Haven, it'll be a really good test to see which team could have that stronger leadership in the early parts of this tournament. The fact that we already know the structure very well of M80 shows that, yeah, they may have the competitive edge in either of those maps. But we have not seen it, and we won't see it on, at least, well, so far this series for Haven. And so we won't get to know the depth of the leadership, I suppose, on a big rotating map like this, but we've seen plenty of rotates so far. M80 just need one more attack round to bring it out of their own map pick into Icebox. One-way setup, executes out.
Loudspeaker blaring, M80's here, and they're here to play. It's Koala Noob for the first. Koala Noob trying to be the second as well, but tagged out by the recon bolt. He'll take some chip damage as the plant goes down without a hitch. Now M80, they'll try to be the long arm of the law, and it's once again Koala Noob.
Time to jump.
I know his mother's in the chat. Probably talks about engagement all the time, but not the kind that you usually talk about to your mom with.
Nice try.
I know I don't talk to her about Valorant this much, but I wish I could because I have so much to say about this team who is so close to winning it out. And indeed they will. Koala stacking 3 more kills for the round, and M80, you've seen the story before, but did it take 26 rounds? They'll take Sunset.
Oh, great adjustments made by M80 at the very end, grouping up together, playing their own games once more, really fishing to find the critical players on All Knights in order to take them down very, very early on. Dante, a lot of that steam fell post the last 2 attack timeouts. Not a lot to be seen, but hopefully we get to see All Knights bring it back again on a... I don't know if we'll see Neon on Icebox, but it could very well be interesting to see.
No, All Knights comp on Icebox classically is unfortunately not Neon. It is a Swamp comp, which I am excited to see if they decide to carry that into a game against M80, because M80's games against specifically Swamp comps have been tumultuous, to say the least, since Net's addition to the compendium of the squad. It'll be a fun interaction to watch. M80 still definitely the favorites to make this a 2-0, but it'll be a close one. We'll see after the short break.